What's up, guys? I was getting ready to come down to my office and I brought some oatmeal and stuff, and then I just grabbed this whole thing of berries. I was like, oh, why not just eat them all? Anyway, what's today? Tuesday? Yep, Tuesday. I feel like I have a million things to share with you, and I'm just trying to not word vomit on you all too much if I can avoid it. But two things. First of all, let's take a look at this necklace. Do you guys see it? Can you see what it is? So this is an actual replica etching of Mac's actual paw. I sent in a picture of his ink print of his foot that they gave me when he passed away. And this beautiful company in a small country, I can't remember off the top of my head, in Europe made it for me. And I love it so much. I wear it almost every day. Anyway, so today we're putting some CBD lavender cream on our hands because my hands are sore, because that's my life. Anyway, so growth moments was what I was thinking. I haven't been able to put together any sort of writing or blog about last year. Everybody does that, right? It's a thing. Everybody puts up their lessons from whatever. And it's just so much. Last year was a big year. It was hard. I had a really rough summer. But what was interesting was I feel like so many things came to a point. I had been saying to my teachers and my coaches and my really, really close friends for a while that I felt as though I had made it to the edge of this particular step. And I just couldn't seem to get over that next moment. And I knew and I believe that I've taken down the path that I'm taken down for reasons, and everything makes sense and is what it's supposed to be. And I also, what I got to witness though this past year and last year, whatever, what I got to witness was the last leg of so many things. And what I mean by that is when we're evolving as humans, there are certain things that we want to fight against. There are certain things we have temper tantrums against. We don't want to do it. No, I'm not ready. Oh, I let go of that. And it's but you really didn't. And all of those things. And so there's so much to it. And I feel like when you're excavating inside of yourself and you're identifying things and letting go of stuff and understanding why, or letting go of your reasoning, your desire to have to know why, whatever it is that you're trying to figure out. I believe that sometimes we don't ever actually get to the full place of healing, to the full place of change, because life happens or because we're scared or whatever. There's a million reasons, right? I could talk for 2 hours just about that. But how people always say all the time, oh, you're the collective, you're the an example of the collective of people that you're around. I never really felt really great about that statement, because most of my closest people are not here. The people that I relate to, especially in my business and my brand, they don't live here. Some of them I've seen a handful of times in real life, So my life is a little different. And so when I think about that, my interpretation of that would be very different. But I knew along the way that there was definitely some crunchiness. When I say crunchiness, I mean icky residue, not a great fit, doesn't feel good, but maybe some obligation, maybe some guilt, maybe some I don't want to let these people go things going on with different relationships in my life, right? I used to be a people pleaser, y'all. I used to be a people pleaser. I used to make excuses for everyone. I used to not remove people who did me wrong from my space. It's like I was rebellious against it for whatever reason. And since I was a child, I've always been able to see like the above view of a situation. One of the reasons I'm such a good manager and I'm so good at teaching managers is because and also very good at helping people with relationships, is because I can truly see the reasoning behind every person involved's actions, like why each person did what they did. Like I can, even if it was really fucked up, something they did was really fucked up, I can see why they did it. I can understand their reasoning. And typically with that, I meet that with compassion, and I would then make excuses for them in my head because I understood why it happened. So whatever, right? So over the years, I realized, stop doing that, because it's great to understand, but that doesn't mean you have to accept shitty behavior from people, right? And I would have told you probably like a year and a half ago, I would have swore to you that I didn't have any residual, lingering people or relationships like that in my life. But a few things happened. So I believe that when big and rough and tough and ugly things occur, you see a lot of people's true colors, right? So a lot of stuff happened around like COVID and George Floyd and the elections and the riots and shootings and all of these like big, very emotional, very grand and horrible in most cases things that have happened publicly. You see sides of people that you wish you didn't see sometimes. And I've always said that, like, I've always been the girl who gets to see behind the scenes in places. And then it typically means that, like, once I see behind the scenes, I wish I didn't. So many businesses, I like think somebody's so great. And then I see behind the scenes and I'm like, damn, that's not true at all. Cool. It sucks, right? So anyway, I feel like a lot of things, like if you wanted to see the way people are, you were able to, or learn about them, see who was open and compassionate and who wasn't. Like you were able to really notice that. And in some of those people, when I saw that, I didn't want to believe it, right? So I would, like a lot of us, we see somebody's true colors that we love and that we've spent life with and we've felt love from, right? And we don't want to believe that they may be that cold-hearted or that whatever, right? Judgmental, whatever the word is. Like we may not want to believe that. And I think there were places that was still happening that I didn't even realize it. And then there was a moment, and this is what happens to me, and like this is what used to happen to me back in the day with all of like my dating relationships. Every time I would be dating a guy and things would like, they would be shitty or I would be shitty or whatever, I would see it through till there was like the very last thing that I just could not ignore. Like it was so big and so red and so on fire that I just couldn't ignore it. So I had to go. But then I felt really good about how I tried everything, right? It's just like silly self-deprecating nonsense that we do. Anyway, so I realized that had kind of happened in some of my personal relationships. And when a big thing happened last year that I was on the outskirts of, but involved in, and some of the other people involved did some really shitty things, right? And it made me see how clearly I was doing myself a disservice by allowing those people to stay in my space all of those years. It didn't matter how many years of friendship or love or relationships or family you have with someone. It doesn't matter. And the other beautiful part about growth moments, and the thing that I do love about the person I've become, is that I have no ill feelings towards those people. I just accepted what had been shown to me and what was the difference between, how I would want to be treated or how I would want other people to be treated and what someone else did, right? Like it was very much truth. And what's cool is when those things happen, a growth moment, a maturity moment that you can measure for yourself is whether or not you need to have that conversation, whether or not you need to fight with them. Make them understand why you're distancing yourself. Make them understand what they did. It's never going to satisfy you. Trust me, I learned it the hard way my whole adult life until 5 or 6 years ago. I thought that I had to make them understand what they did, why I'm mad, why it's wrong, because they must get it, right? Because if they realize that what they did was wrong, then maybe I get to keep them. But I torture myself in the process. And at the end of the day, when you make promises to yourself about the kind of person you are, what you stand for, and what you'll allow in your space, and you don't keep that promise to yourself, little parts of your confidence die. Little parts of those sparks of you get dimmer, right? Making promises and declarations to yourself is a tricky business, because then you have to keep that, right? And if you don't, then you sit there quietly in your head when someone does you wrong, that's done you wrong before, and you take that as your fault, right? You take responsibility for the fact that this person who's already done some fucked up shit to you, but you just kept quiet about it, right? Somebody who's done some fucked up shit to you does some more fucked up shit to you. You have nobody to blame but yourself, right? And that doesn't feel good. And that's usually something that we hide away from as well, right? Because ick, that feels icky and we don't want to do it. And so on and so forth. And this cycle continues and this cycle continues. So something that I take away from what happened to me last year is where I really reduced the humans in my space, because I looked at behavior that I could not justify in my head, right? I get why they did what they did, but that doesn't make it right? When you can look at somebody's behavior, that's the growth moment for me. Is I used to look at someone's behavior, understand why they did what they did, and then I would justify it. I would have compassion for them. And it's not that I don't have compassion for people in these moments or in this situation I'm talking about, but because I do, it sucks. But what's bigger than it sucking and it being shitty is that allowing that kind of human or that kind of energy or that kind of behavior, that kind of darkness to exist within my inner realm brings you down. If you do so much work, and you guys are following along, thank you, Ryan, thank you, Jenny. You do so much work to elevate yourself and continuously be evolving, continuously be growing, understanding more, doing better, having as much help with people, helping people as much as you can, having the happiest, calmest, coolest life you can have. You put all this work in just to have people that you've known for 20 years pull you back down below the places that you fought to get to. So eventually you have to ask yourself, why are you doing this? And again, it's a weird, odd form of self-sabotage, but we have to stop making that justification. You have to accept the way people show you how they are. And of course, if you're like me, you might wait. You might let them do it a couple times before you, hello, Sita, hello, beautiful. You might wait till they do it a few times before you accept it, and that's okay. But the power of acknowledging somebody's conscious decision to do you wrong or do something bad, mean to you, I'm not trying to sound like a child, but mean to you, literally being, you don't have to put up with that from anyone. I remember a couple of years ago, I was explaining a situation to, I have the best psychiatrist. He's so good. I love him. I've seen him for years. And I was sitting there telling him about somebody who had done something really shitty to me a few years ago. And I was and this is what happened. And, of course, how do you feel? What did you do? Blah, blah, blah. And he was enraged. And this is a very quiet man. And I have a way of somehow provoking. He gets all worked up when we're talking, in a good way. But he said to me, you never, ever, ever, ever have to accept disrespect from anyone. You should never accept disrespect like that from anyone. I don't care who it is. And at the time, this was a family member. But what are we told? You have to. You just accept it. And he said, no, under no circumstances are you required to accept disrespect from anyone. And I was just like, oh, okay. And that still makes my heart feel a certain kind of way when I think about it, right? And so the deal with that is if you recognize that you don't have to endure that, it empowers you in a unique way if you let it. Because again, like I said before, you don't need to talk it out with someone. You don't need to explain why you will no longer allow their disrespect or their, what about you're watching somebody be disrespectful? Yeah, well, exactly. So there's a great point. That was the situation that happened to me this summer. I was just watching somebody act like it was acceptable for them to be so involved in someone else's experience and like judgmental and harmful and all of this, that I thought, wait a fucking minute. Like, hold the phone. No, I cannot. And that, Sita, I'm glad you said that, because that's really the biggest reason why I took a huge step back and was like, nope, not in my space anymore. Because why would I want to engage and put time into and allow into my energy space and into my world and into my heart that you get to choose that? And that doesn't mean I had a big old fight, because I didn't even talk about it, because I don't need to talk about it. I made that choice, just like you get to make that choice on what you allow. Sita, I give you so much love, because it's very difficult when it's somebody that you've had so much life with, right? And that you love, and it's a tricky business. It's a tricky business, but I'll tell you that I think everything comes full circle at one point or another. In my experience, I've had these kinds of growth moments with somebody that I loved, or somebody that I, had been a big part of my life for so many years. And then I had to remove myself, or remove them technically, like I had to like pluck them out and leave them over there. Like, love you from a really freaking far distance. You're not going to infiltrate my emotions, my energy space. Like, you're not going to come into my space, you're not going to come into my home. That was another big thing for me. Like, if somebody's not in a place of, if I don't allow people that aren't of integrity to come into my house. I don't. That was an agreement when I moved into this house. That was an agreement Tony and I made. And to this day, he comes to me and asks, hey, is it okay if so-and-so comes by? And I check in with myself. And if it's not, they stay outside. They don't come inside of my home. And he says, okay. And they'll stay outside. But anyway, it doesn't make it easier. But I think what I was going to say was it all comes full circle. So some of those people where that was the case, they've come around. And I'm guarded about it. And sometimes I'm not open to it. And that's okay. You don't have to be. And then sometimes, though, it does come full circle where I can have that conversation that's productive at that point. And then both people can kind of just have their moment, and then that's that. So I don't know. I've said a million things in this. So thank you guys for watching and for listening. I hope that this was helpful and is making sense to you. I just think it's important that we talk about this kind of stuff more, because we definitely, as human beings, like, we have to navigate this, because when we don't, which is what I didn't do before, I would just accept it and almost like pick it up and carry it with me as something that I had to allow, and just be like, oh, no, I know that's just how they are. Oh yeah, they just talk that way about me. They always have. It's just how they are. And I look and I'm like, what the hell are you thinking? Like, that's not how friends speak about one another. I saw this thing the other day, and I'll end with this. I put it on my page, I think, but it was basically something along the lines of, real friends talk shit to your face and praise you behind your back. Meaning, real friends will bring up your shit. They'll call you on your shit. They're not rude about it. They're not disrespectful about it, but they're upfront, and they care so much about you and want you to be such a good human that they're going to call you out on your nonsense because they want you to grow. They want to stand next to you and watch or help or guide whatever that you need, right? They want you to be better. So they're going to talk shit to your face. And behind your back, they're going to praise you and stand up for you and all of those things. The people who are overly like fake friends, they don't do that. They're more, there's just such a difference. So pay attention to that. They're going to talk shit on you behind your back and they're going to be fake as fuck to your face. Right? You can tell the difference, but pay attention. Like I praise my friends, right? I praise them tons, but they also know that they're doing something stupid or they're not making sense, or I watch them, you know, I'm like, hey, are you good? Like I see what's going on. Like, do you need something? Do you just need to talk? Do you need a break? Whatever it is. I call them on that too, or like, hey man, that was pretty fucked up. What's the deal? So pay attention to that, because those are your people. Those are your true people. So even when we don't want to hear it, right? All right, friends. Go out into the world today and smile more and have a good day. Put your feet in the grass if you need to. I don't have any grass right now, but I've been putting them out in the dirt, so that's okay too. Yes, Sita, I love that. I'm so happy that you're here. I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Thanks for watching. As always, if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and share it if you think anybody could benefit from the message. Love you too, Catherine. Bye, guys.